Hello, YouTube fans. This is TheSkullKlown. I want to talk about Trick or Treat, the movie, the one with the little sack boy named Sam. Um, I haven't watched the movie in a while, in a long time, or anything like that, but I want to talk about it. This movie, in my opinion, is really good. Do I think it's a I give it. I mean, it's a great movie. Maybe looking back at it now, if I watch it again, I probably would say it's a masterpiece. I probably would say that. I say probably. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm saying probably, but I know it's good. I probably wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but it is a good anthology. Well, not anthology. It's a good. Well, I mean, it's a good movie that has different stories that entwine in one, basically. So I like when they do that sometimes. Not to say I don't like when they do their own stories, and it's its own thing, basically. Kind of like when you look at old it's like old driving movie theaters, basically, when they constantly show different movies. It's like stuff like that. Movies like that, I don't mind movies like that. It's, to be honest, that's like one of my favorite things, mainly because if you have something that's shit of like a little short, you know there's going to be another show that's going to be good anyways. If not all of it's probably bad, then you'll be like, yeah, I'm not watching none of this. But Trick or Treat is a really engaging movie, and it has so many Halloween stuff in it, and it embraces the fucking holiday. It embraces so much stuff that it is Halloween, baby. It is, and it is what it is, man. That Trick or Treat movie shows a lot of shit that does happen in Halloween. All right, seriously, what more can you say? What more can you say? What more can you say? It's a movie that has a cult fan base like fucking crazy. I remember when I watched it the first time, I loved it ever since. I think this movie, I remember a long time ago, man. We all know this. I think we still to this day we know this. This movie was going to come out in theaters, but it wasn't. And guess, and this movie was not going to come out in theaters, and Saw replaced it. Saw 3, I believe. Saw 3 replaced Trick or Treat. And by that time, people didn't really care for Saw, you know? Already by Saw 3, people were just like, okay, are we done? you know? You know? That's just me when I was noticing back in the day, back when Saw 3 was happening, people were just like, really? Can we stop? And I'm like, oh, really? We're this now? You know? Not to say I didn't felt that way, but when I did watch the movie, after that, I was just like, well, you killed Jigsaw. I know some people say, what's the point of this movie? But I'm over here like, what's the point of the other ones? What's the point of the other ones after 3? You know? Even if they all prequels, it doesn't matter. He still dies. you know? That's just me, man. That's always been me with the Saw series. That's always been me. So, but that is, I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's just true, but have always heard that the Saw 3 replaced the Trick or Treat movie in theaters. And they released it on, I think they released it straight to DVD, I believe, and everyone just started watching it from there. I started watching it from there too, because I remember going to the store one day and I saw this movie that was called Trick or Treat, and at first I was like, the thing is, I passed through that movie a couple of times, and I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And it was new. Trick or Treat was new at that time. So it wasn't like all this talked about like it is right now. So when I did saw the cover for the movie, I liked the cover because I had a little sack boy. He looked creepy and pretty cool, in my opinion. And but but when I looked at it, look at the back, it said it was like a different story type of movie and all that stuff. And back then, as a kid, I I'll be honest with you, as a kid, I didn't like those type of movies. I didn't like creep show stuff. Even though I grew up with creep show stuff, I know. It's like when I was a little kid, I loved it. Then in that one point of age when I was a teenager and going to be a teenager, I didn't like it, and then when I was a teen, I was getting into that and watching more of stuff, and then as an adult now, I just fucking love it. you know, so that's what basically happened with me with the different story anthology movies that come up once in a blue moon. But and sometimes those stories are intertwined or just they're just different, from each other. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't pick this movie up the first time. And then when I saw it the second time, I kept looking at it because I kept looking. I was trying to find a movie, and I was like, I can't find a movie. And then somebody kept telling me, get the movie. Just get the fucking movie. The cover looks nice. Yeah, you might not like this premise of what they're using in the movie, but who knows? It could be maybe they do it well. Maybe they do it so well that you think that it's probably pretty good, or you like it really much that you want to watch it every year or every Halloween or something like that. So I got the movie. I got the movie. I watched it, and I never looked back. I never looked back. I And it is cool that you have to piece the story together as a puzzle. Because when you first watch it, when you first view Trick or Treat the movie, you don't really get it. It's almost like the movie Detention. If you watch the movie Detention, it's funny because some people give that movie a D, and I'm all like, that's a compliment. The movie Detention is basically about these group of kids that are literally getting detention, like the Breakfast Club, and shit just happens. I think murder stuff happens, and there's also a bear involved, a galactic bear that eventually is the mascot of the school, and it's also a time traveling robot bear, machine robot bear. The tension is, I'm sorry, I enjoy the movie Detention. That's just me. I love that shit. I love that shit. The movie Detention. If you haven't watched, I need to talk about that movie one day. Again, I need to find it. I know it's here in this house, but I need to find that movie and watch it again. Detention. I can find it online to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I don't know why Trick or Treat reminded me of Detention. Look at that. Even though they're not really the same movies at all, they're all horror movies in a way. Yeah, they're all kind of ish horror movies. Actually, yeah, no, Detention is like a. Basically, if you look at Detention, it's like Breakfast Club, a horror movie, and the elements of Scott Pilgrim in it. Because when they show the characters, they show their little stats like Scott Pilgrim. When I first saw, that's one of the reasons why I saw that movie. It's because I'm like, you guys are like Scott Pilgrim. You guys are like, what are you doing here? That's why they took a lot of elements that were popular around that time and they shoved it together. Even though it didn't really work for some people, but some people thought it was fun and they loved it. And still to this day, Detention, in my opinion, has a cult following too. Just like not as much as probably Trick or Treat, but cult following nonetheless. And I am one of those people that love Detention, like I said again, and this movie too. Trick or Treat, when I first saw the movie Trick or Treat again, like you have to keep watching Detention and Trick or Treat over and over again to eventually get it. Because there's pieces of the puzzle you need to get. It does it in different ways, but by the end you'll be like, okay. And it doesn't take you that many viewings to literally be like, oh, okay. If you're a little kid and you kept watching it, that's different because you're just watching it. You're not really you're not really thinking of the story all that much. It's not until you get older you'll be like, what's the story? What's happening here? And then you might get confused because there's certain things that are happening here. Then and then in timeline wise, it actually happened here, and at the beginning of the movie, it actually happened by the end of the movie. Timeline wise, if you actually structure Trick or Treat in order, you'd be like, okay, this is actually what it really needs to happen. But I've met so many people too that hate Trick or Treat, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. You know why? Because they thought it was confusing and they thought it sucked. They thought it sucked because it was confusing for them. And I'm like, you have to put pieces together of how the narrative is. And they're like, yeah, that sucks. And I'm like, then you're a dumbass. People these are all these are adults. And when I told people this about Trick or Treat, I was like in high school. And I'm over here like, you're dumb. Because that tells me you can't even put a puzzle piece together. I'm sorry. You mean what? I'm sorry. Seriously, you mean to tell me you can't put certain things in movies together? That means you can't do a puzzle piece. You can't do a puzzle piece. You can't even play a video game that has puzzles. You know? It's sad. I'm like, are we that dumb? How we come to the point as a society that we're that dumb that we can't do a puzzle? Yeah, man. That shit's crazy. It's crazy to see how dumb people can be, or how dumb people go to the point that you'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with these people?" You know. But that's really it. So this movie Trick or Treat has a special place in my heart, and the kills are not bad in this movie. Don't fuck with a witch named um what is it? Rhonda. I hope that's her name. don't fuck with that. You know, the fact that this movie kills kids too, has the balls to kill kids, and you see literally a little freaking sack boy coming in. He's also a freaking kid too, and then we get his moment. We get his little him not well. He does kill. He does. We see him in the beginning of the movie killing a woman. Only mainly because the woman is not following the rules of Halloween, which she's supposed to, but she doesn't. So she deserves to die. Not following the rules of Halloween. Are you crazy? All right. Even that little boy that ate all that candy, he didn't follow the rules of trick or treat. Because what was one of the rules of trick or treat? Always check your candy. And he never checked all of that candy. He took one candy from one stranger, and that stranger even told him, check your candy. And he got sick from it and vomited and died. This movie kills kids. Does not give a fuck. It even has a little kid freaking carving a freaking headless kid as a pumpkin. And you wonder why this movie is a cult classic. Okay? It's creative as fuck, and the shocking factor is the shocking factor, man. Especially when you first see this movie. You'll be like, what the fuck? You know? And it is. And then when you found out, too, spoiler alert, when you find out, too, that, that the old man was the bus driver with the kids that were that had disability basically, and the parents didn't care for them basically. So they hired the bus driver to basically kill the kids, ran them over the cliff. Crazy, right? And they were all chained up too. They were chained up. They were basically. It's so funny because they made those kids look like they were like horrible people, basically. You know, horrible kids, monsters. They made them monsters before they were monsters. So what? So when you see the kids, when you see the dead kids from Halloween past, I like to say, when they do their thing, I'm all like, tear their shit up, rip them to shreds. That's why when the whole thing happened with the kids in the swamp area, I mean in the lake area, when she hits that pumpkin in the lake, and I'm all like, why'd you kick that pumpkin? And it just turned off. I'm like, this bitch is gonna die. This bitch is gonna die. You know, the group of the kids and stuff like that in the movie, they died, man. They completely got teared to pieces. They really did. They got teared to pieces. And I love in the beginning of the movie too that shows like a comic book form. It's so good. It's so good. Mainly because there is a comic book of this movie. There is. There's a comic book of this movie. I think the comic book came out first before the movie, I believe. Uh I think yeah, that sounds right. So it is pretty cool. I always forget that this movie is actually based off a comic book before the movie happened, so there is that. And the casting in this movie is pretty good. Not bad. Not bad at all. And again, the old man is basically the Scrooge of Halloween. He hates Halloween for a reason. And then you think he's gonna have a happy ending and everything like that, but nope. Those kids come back and kill the fuck out of him. They rip him in half. They rip him in half. They break his bones. They don't give a shit. Like that was his final karma. I think that's one of the reasons Sam didn't kill him. But I know there's another reason. He got he really wanted candy. I remember when my friend saw that. One of my friends saw that, and he's like, "Really? What the fuck?" You know. Um. I guess he didn't like that part. But mostly everyone that you see dies in this movie. Even the dad that was with the kid that was carving the headless kid as a pumpkin, that he dies. And then you question what's going to happen to his son. you know. And most people are like, "Oh, who gives a fuck? He's a crazy motherfucker too." It's like, it's like, okay. Maybe he just comes back. Who knows? It is Halloween. Stuff happens on Halloween, and then when then the next day things just come back like nothing happened. No. So watch this movie if you haven't watched this movie. I highly recommend it. The wolf scene too with the freaking woman dressed as Red Riding Hood and stuff like that. And oh my goodness, like this shit is great. This shit is good. This shit is cool. It really is. This is like one of the best horror movies of all time. It is. If this is not your top 10, no, fuck it. If this is not your top 5 favorite horror movies of all time, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. It should be at least your top 10 because Trick or Treat is really, really fun, really, really good. It understands its premise and it understands what it is. And still to this day, there hasn't been a sequel. You got your Godzilla movie, and yet you won't do Trick or Treat too. The whole reason why I watched your Godzilla movie was to literally have your Trick or Treat movie. But it's funny because when Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, some people fucking hated it for no fucking goddamn reason. And if that's the reason why he didn't have the opportunity to do another Trick or Treat 2, that is bullshit. Because people that complain with King of the Monsters is literally Godzilla King of the Monsters that came out in 2019. People that complain about that movie did not are literally comparing the hate and bullshit to literally the other Godzilla movie that came out in 2014. The reason I had to close my eyes shut is because it is such a pathetic piece of. In my opinion, that shit was planned. You couldn't have something like that and not have it be planned. That shit was planned. But then everyone just started joining in because it's so fun to join the crowd. Go ahead and join the crowd and go straight to the slaughterhouse because I don't give a fuck. It's not me. I don't care. Seriously. That's what happens to these characters in these movies. They don't give a fuck. The characters that don't give a fuck, they start dying because they don't follow the rules. Does that make sense? Sorry to get tangent there, but it's true. So, what else can I talk about with this movie? At the end of the day, the conclusion with this movie, man. What else can I talk about with this movie? This movie, the soundtrack to this movie is actually pretty good too. It really is. And the movie feels really comic booky too, mainly because it is based off a comic book. But still, it's very comic booky. And if you get the DVD, you see a little short of Sam walking on Halloween night trying to get candy and stuff like that, and he, some thug, he like goes in, what is it? He goes in the alley, and some thug comes to him, and he opens his bag, and the thug just starts beating the shit out of him, basically. And then when he gets out of the alley, the thug is inside the freaking bag, and I'm like, yo, that's awesome. That is awesome. That's cool. You know, they should have put that in the movie. They should have put that in the movie, in my opinion. I would have put that in the movie. I would have just to show, how this character is right off the bat. You know, and who knows? Maybe they wanted to, but they were like, let's just do this. You know, but who knows? Maybe one day, maybe if we do get a Trick or Treat 2, and we should, it can't be that expensive to do a Trick or Treat sequel, guys. I am sorry. It cannot be that expensive to do a Trick or Treat sequel. It cannot be that expensive. If we can get Halloween movies, there is no reason we cannot have a Trick or Treat movie. Okay? There's no reason to. Is that just me? You know? So again, take care of yourselves, guys. Tell me what you guys think about Trick or Treat. Do you think the movie still holds up to this day? Again, I haven't watched it for a while, but I know it's good. It is. It's good. It really is good. And if you don't like the movie, well, I don't know what to tell you. It's a good movie. Yeah, I guess things are just not for you. But why would you be watching this video anyways? The only way you'd be watching this video if you're intrigued by it. But if you don't like it, you shouldn't be watching this video, I guess. You know? But if you want to see other people's opinions about it and see why people love it so much, then okay, that's fine. That's different. You know, you could do that. What's my favorite part of this movie? What's my favorite part? Obviously, all the Sam stuff. That's just me. I, Sometimes when I do watch Trick or Treat, I do feel like we should just have Sam, and that's it, doing his thing. Sam doing his thing, and that's it. But that's not what they wanted, and that's fine. That's not what they wanted to do. That's not what they planned to do with this movie, and it's fine. That's totally fine. And for what they did with this movie is pretty great, and it's still talked about to this day for a reason. For a reason. So I'll see you. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, be safe. And probably this video should have came out a long time ago when I was doing Halloween stuff. But hey, trick or treat never crossed my mind until now. But it's still the spooky season until this month is over. So I'll see you guys and be safe.